we've got a nasty dent on the front wing, and conveniently, it's about the same size as my foot. So it is a bit of a skip. It's majorly collapsed. You're going to see and understand why there is value and profit to be made in these cars. Okay, so Golf Plus is now ready for sale, but more importantly, let's have a look at this wing over here. So I think there's going to be good profit to be made in this car, and What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on Buysellcars TV. Today we are heading down to BCA Blackbush to pick up this Golf Plus, which I won for £275. It's on 97,000 miles, nearly got a year's MOT, but it desperately needs some TLC. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to transform this tatty Golf into a highly profitable car. Plenty of DIY going on, so stick around, enjoy the video, and I hope you guys find it useful. Right, so let me give you a walkthrough of this Golf Plus. It's a 2006 car. It's done about 99,000 miles, I think it is, or just under 100,000 anyway. And it is in very, very dirty condition. We've got a lot of bird droppings all over the car, shall I say. It's actually hard to tell how the paintwork is looking because it's so dirty. I can't tell, is it faded or is it just dirt? But we'll figure that out once it gets valeted. Going down this side of the car, the paintwork looks... It's got some scratches down there. You can see it's got a few little marks on the paintwork over there. Also got a bit of a crease and a dent onto the corner of the door. I think this has had previous paint done before. Even though it is a bit tricky to tell, it does look a bit flat. And also on the rear door over here, we've got a little bit of crease. So condition wise, it's definitely not perfect, but it's a cheap car. It's a £275 hammer price bid car, so we can't complain too much about these things. Going around the back as well, it's not necessarily too bad over here. Again, just very, very dirty. A lot of cobwebs and bits and bobs that we can see. Now, moving down to the driver's side. So what can we see? Well, we've got Falcon tyres, which are mid-range tyres anyway, so it's not such a bad story when we've got things like mid-range tyres on a cheapy car. Better than budgets anyway. The paintwork does look better on the driver's side compared to the passenger, but we still do have some marks. But the biggest thing I've noticed, which I was aware of before I bought the car, is the wing. So we can see we've got a nasty dent on the front wing, and conveniently it's about the same size as my foot. So it's about a size 10, that dent. So maybe some road rage or something has gone wrong in the guy's life. I've had this car from before, but I'm probably going to get that wing replaced anyway. It's not going to be too expensive to get that done. I can do it myself, get it painted, get it prepped, etc. So that is the state of the car on the exterior. It's not in perfect condition. It never was meant to be. It is a cheap car with a good engine and good mileage, and got a year's MOT already. So let's jump in the car and let me show you the interior. Now, moving into the interior, well, it is a bit of a skip. I'll give you a quick walkthrough just to show you where we're at the moment, but there is dirt everywhere. I just pulled this out of the auction hall, literally 2 minutes just to bring it outside, and it stinks in here. It is not a nice place to be. So much dust, so much dirt. We've also got a problem with the headlining. You can see it's majorly collapsed. Not something which I can't fix. Very easy thing to fix. You just get those screw and plugs. And honest to God, I know you're really not going to pick things up properly, but it's such a dirty place to be. But I can guarantee you one thing, I'll be able to transform this and make this interior look almost like new when I'm done with it. So stay tuned for that one. Let me show you the rears. Not necessarily as bad, but still is not a clean place to be. You can tell the rears haven't had really as much use as the fronts, but one thing I can say is I don't think this car's been cleaned in probably well over a year. So that gives you an idea of the current condition of the interior and the exterior. But let's jump in, get the camera set up, take it for a first drive properly, and see how this car actually performs, because I'm not so concerned about the condition of this car in terms of the bodywork. What's more important is the roadworthiness and how this car drives. So let's jump in, let's check this one out. Right, let's get going and see how this car is performing. As you can see, my visibility behind me is not the best at the moment, but still got full views of my side mirrors, so we're all good. It actually seems all right. I've only got up to third gear, but it actually seems very, very nice and smooth to drive. That is the one thing I do like about Golfs, specifically these FSI engines. They're really smooth, very silky to drive. They're all chain driven as well, so not something you need to worry about in regards to changing the cam belt. But look, pulling away fourth gear, fifth gear, 40 miles an hour. There is no strange noises. There isn't any misfires. The clutch is very good. So first impressions are it's a good car mechanically. Now, the reason I say mechanically is because obviously when I was bidding on this car, I was aware that the condition of this car is not very good. You know, we saw that front wing, the doors have got, you know, little creases on them. Potentially it's got poor previous repairs as well, where the paint looks very flat. The headliner is sagging badly as well. So I was aware of these things when I was bidding on this car, and in all honesty, it does not bother me at all, because the price point of where this car is going to be, you're buying a car for the functionality, not for how it looks. But what's more important is having a car which is roadworthy over a car that looks great but isn't safe to drive. So that's why I bought this specific car. It was MOT'd a matter of weeks ago, which is always a good sign. It passed with a couple of advisories, nothing too scary, but just 3 or 4 advisories on there. Things I will need to look out for when I am getting this car prepped, but nothing that was out of the ordinary for something of this age of mileage. So buying this car at 275 hammer price with an MOT is very, very good, and almost taking a lot of that risk away. Not always the case, but it just does help with risk management when you're buying these cheap cars. Service history wise, it's got part service history. I can't remember off the top of my head when it was last done, but it's got partial history. I will need to get the car serviced before I put it for sale. And the other things which I'm gonna have to get done from just immediately thinking are the headliner will need to be fixed. The front wing, I'll replace it, get it painted. I could do it myself. Then the car's gonna need to be deep cleaned, so it's absolutely filthy and doesn't smell too great in here either. So that's the thing which I'm looking forward to, because I know from looking at this car, we're going to be able to make this car so nice inside. So it might look so crap and tatty right now, and you're probably thinking, why do you buy these rubbish cars? It's not. Once we're done with this car and we brought it up to a better standard, you're going to see and understand why there is value and profit to be made in these cars. Hopefully we don't run into any more issues on this car on our journey back, but of course if we do, it will be rectified, it will be documented, and we will talk about how much all of these things have cost us to get this car ready for sale. But for now, I'm gonna get this car taken straight over to the mechanic so they can start checking it over, getting it serviced, and we can start the procedure of getting this car ready for sale. So stay tuned, guys. So the car has now been serviced and valeted, but I'm gonna show you all that very soon. But first, let me salvage this headline into something a bit more presentable. But as you can see, I'm placing pins throughout the headline to try and keep it in position, ready for when I put the screws in place. It is a bit tricky as it will crease up in places, but this is why we start with the pins to make it easier. Now you can see I'm using the screws provided along with the screwdriver to place them in the headliner, keeping it permanently in place. Once this is done, you can go ahead and remove the pins from earlier, but keep them safe as they will come in use for next time. The last thing left to do is just pop on the screw cap covers, not looking too bad considering it's about £6 in parts and a doable DIY job pretty much for anyone. Now it's time to get the wing painted, and I always like to start with a light mist coat of primer. No need to rush and spray heavy. The second and third coat are when I spray on more, making sure I've got good coverage. Give it around 10 minutes in between coats for the paint to dry though. Now I like to get some 800 sandpaper and just gently rub on the panel. This is to remove that rough texture you get from the primer, and it's really going to help with the final finish. Now it's time for some colour, and again we are keeping the first coat very light and misty, as this will help give the other coats a good base for the paint to stick to. As we do more coats, I'm gradually building up the layers. Don't worry so much if it still looks a bit patchy, it all will come together by the end. Just make sure you get good and even coverage throughout the panel. Now comes the gloss. 2 heavy coats is all that's needed here for this job, but even from the first heavy coat you can see a real nice shine. But I still thought I could do a better job and paint that little bit closer to get an even deeper gloss finish. And would you look at that, all from a rattle can and painted in my garage. It's looking real nice considering it's yet to be flat and polished to remove any minor imperfections and orange peel. Pretty good. So that's the process of getting this car prepped for sale. But now it's time for me to show you the final end product after it's been serviced and valeted as well. All of the pieces of the puzzle coming together to really show you how far this transformation has come. Let's go check this car out. Okay, so Golf Plus is now ready for sale. Wing has been replaced, car has been valeted, it's all been serviced. So let me give you a walk around of the car now quickly before it starts to hammer it down, because this weather has been all over the place. You wouldn't think it's July with the way this rain has been coming down. So, but just having a walk around of the car now, you can see the condition is looking fantastic. Getting the car cleaned always makes a big difference. And even down this side where the paintwork wasn't necessarily as good as what it could be for, you know, an original car. It's obviously had some paint in the past. It's still looking very presentable. Yes, the car has got rain on it at the moment, so of course it does hide little blemishes and imperfections, but it gives you an idea of how the car is looking. But more importantly, let's have a look at this wing over here. So color match wise, well, you can see a slight difference obviously from the door to the wing, but it kind of matches more with the bonnet. But giving you an idea of the gloss in the paintwork, you can see it is looking very nice. This over here is nothing to do with the fitment of the wing. That is because there would have been a dent in the door from wherever this damage was. So slight crease in the door, which is not something which I was going to get changed on this car, because end of the day, the wing was in a horrendous state before. I don't know if you remember, but there was a big, don't know, a bit of road rage kick mark over there. So that's been replaced, got that painted myself, has made a big difference to the outlay of the car. And I think that looks very presentable. So that's the exterior. Let me show you the interior now. And looking into the interior, what a transformation we've had from how the car was looking before. Don't get me wrong, it's still not 100%, but it can't be. From the state that this car was, when you saw it earlier on in the video, it was horrendous. It was dusty, it was dirty, it was not a car which you wanted to sit in. And you can look at the seats now, they are looking so much more cleaner than what it was before. It's a car now you wouldn't even recognize, because it just does smell very fresh inside, and it actually is a nice place to be in now compared to how things were before. So looking at the front of the car, I am very happy of the condition. And looking at the roof as well, we have had a little go at fixing that. So I have got those pins and screwed it in. So it's not perfect. I know it's not aesthetically the best thing in the world, but it's better than having a sagging headlining where you can't see out the rear screen. So overall, I'm very happy with how the front is looking, but let me show you the rears as well. Now, looking into the rears, same situation. The car is looking absolutely fantastic compared to how it was before. Seats really have had a big difference done to them. If you could just see how it was looking before. The cloth, the interior is very clean. That's a good thing I do like about these Golfs and these cloth interiors. Once they are valeted, they do come up very well. And again, headlining, you know, you can see it's not perfect, but it's much better than how things were looking before. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the interior and the exterior on this Golf. So let's jump in the car. Let's talk about those costs on this car, how much everything has cost me, including the wing, the fees, etc. So let's get on with that now. Okay, so now let's get into exactly how much this car has cost me, buying it from the auction, getting what I need to get done to bring it up to the standard it is now. So you all know the car cost me £275 on the hammer price. So that is the cost of me bidding on the car. Now there were some fees, of course, so that was £167 on top of the £275 from the auction. So it was over £400 to get this car driven out of the auction. Then bringing it back, obviously I had to get the wing done. So I spent £50 buying the wing. So again, local place, picked up the wing, another 50 quid on paint, DIY job, done it at home to save on the cost. And to be honest, I'm quite happy with how it's turned out. So in total, wing and paint, £100 spent there. Mechanically, all I had to get done to this car, because it was serviced not too long ago, was get it obviously just checked over and get an oil change done. So getting the oil and filter replaced, so that cost me £80. The interior was an absolute skip. So I'm really happy with how it turned out, and it only cost me £50 to get it done to this standard. Makes a massive difference, especially when it was this dirty. It really adds value. So happy with how that's turned out. The headliner as well, I had those parts from before when I've used it on another car. If you did want to buy it, they're like £7 to do it, and you could just do it yourself, as you've seen in the video. It's not difficult to do. It doesn't look the best, but it does what it needs to do. The headlining is in place and it's not going to fall down. So again, something you can do yourself. So all in all, this car, getting it ready for sale to where we are now, has cost me a total of £672. That is a very good price. I'm happy with that. Retail wise, where am I going to look to sell this? About £17.95. There aren't a great deal amount of Golf Pluses on the market, and if you do have a quick flick through, you can see they really do vary from like 1400, 1500, upwards of sort of £2,000 and above. So I'm looking to sell it for £17.95. Maybe it'll end up being a little bit less, but either way, I'm looking at a fantastic profit considering the amount I spent on this car. So if I do sell it for the £17.95, I'll be looking at a pre-tax profit of £1,123. So taking into consideration, I've only spent £672 on buying the car and getting it ready for sale. to make a profit off over £1,123 is going to be fantastic. So, but that is provisionally if I do sell it for £17.95. And of course, I actually got to factor in advertising costs. So take off about another £25 depending on how long it takes for sale. But either way, we're looking at around £1,123 profit if I sell it for that price. So I'm happy with this purchase. It was a bit dirty. It needed some work doing to it. It didn't look like it was in a good state. And when I did post this car on TikTok as a bit of a laugh, a lot of people just were thinking it's, you know, a scrap type of car, but it just goes to show you still can buy a good car as long as mechanically the car is good. Everything else is fixable within a good budget, because mechanically that's when the cost can start to spiral. But in this case, getting a wing replaced, getting the car valeted, getting an oil service done, and just a little bit of TLC really has transformed this car, and I'm happy with how the outcome is on this car. But overall, I'm really happy with this purchase. I think there's going to be good profit to be made in this car, and it just goes to show that even if a car initially comes across like a bit of a scrappy car, if there's no major mechanical issues, we can work with a good budget to bring the car up to a good standard, getting a wing replaced, getting it valeted, doing the headlining, and just general TLC around the car to add some value and make profit. So that is the purpose of these videos, to show you guys that. If you do like this type of content, please do smash up that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already, if you want to see plenty more content like this. As well as that, follow me on my socials below, which is at Buysellcars TV. I'm on Instagram for my daily content and TikTok for more interesting videos. So make sure you follow me up on all of those socials. But other than that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Take care, guys.